AlphaDraft Challenger League. My name is Daniel Sifa Dracos. I'm joined once again by Ryan Frostro and more, my partner in bad jokes and 80s music references. And of course,
Wow.
wow, yeah, I sold you out on the bad jokes. Deal with it. Urgot and Nunu coming out from Misfits, keeping that Nunu band consistent. Callista and Rek'Sai taken away on the opposite side. Gnar also dropped here.
No. I'm sorry, that was reflex. I feel like sometimes things just fall out of my mouth, and that was one of them. Casted in the final ban from Fang Gaming Machines. First pick to Misfits. And it's not Jinx. See, I'm now 0 for 2 on my predictions. I said that Jinx shouldn't be left open again, that would be first pick worthy on blue side. They're like, no, it's the Maokai.
This is an interesting thing, or an interesting choice here. RF Legendary, honestly, has had a pretty solid performance on Gnar in the last game, but really wasn't the center of attention there. Wasn't the reason that Misfits came out on top. It was Stixay and Alex each on the backside, and more than anything, Ramelia finally on a champion where she could create an impact. Frank Fang Gaming responding back quickly, though. Jinx and Thresh locked in. The Thresh consistent for Baby. The Jinx, a new pickup for Latman.
And this makes sense. Jinx has had super high impact so far in this series. Obviously, it was banned away the first game. It did phenomenal in Stixie's hands the last game. So we'll see how Latman takes his performance on that. In response, though, it will be Stixie picking up that Lucian, as well as Alberto looking back again to Sejuani. He had some phenomenal Glacial Prisms. Expect that trend to continue.
This is an interesting choice to give the Lucian over to Stixay. Of course, like many AD carries, he's pretty comfortable on this pick. Have to see if he can get an early advantage here and how exactly he does on the other side of this matchup. Has proven himself on Jinx. Have to see if he can do the same with Lucian. And as you said, Alberto on point with those Glacial Prisons. And the team really not hurting from the lack of early game presence on that Sejuani pick. And it seems like with better lanes, Misfits just perform better overall as a team when they can comfortably exit the laning phase and give Alberto the time he needs to play a more herbivore style. What are your thoughts on his Sejuani play in the early to mid game?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that their laners are so strong and that they don't need Crumbzz to hold them by the hand and really protect them, to allow him to play that herbivore style, to farm himself up, to get those items necessary, where he can be the big playmaker early to mid game to late game. So, especially on a pick like Sejuani, who has so much more power and pressure post level 6. And oh boy, are we going to see an Orianna? Is that going to be the famous Alex Orianna? Nope.
Or,
No,
okay,
my
I think
God.
they're flicking through various successful picks from Alex's career. That's what it feels like right now. Oh, let's go little season 2. Oh, a little League of Cleavers season 3. Let's throw back to the Pentakills of the good old days. I'm not going to speculate on what they're going to finalize on the lock-in. Let's talk about the other side real quick before I know you're going to be excited with whatever they pick here,
I
but
promised myself I wouldn't cry. Oh,
calm down.
Cassiopeia.
All
Okay,
right,
new age, new age. It's cool. We're good.
all right.
Yep.
Go. I know you want to talk
Solid.
about it. Tell me about
Okay.
Misfits. What does this team comp do well? Where does it suffer?
Cassiopeia is the big breakout pick from the MSI. No one saw it coming. We saw Huni do great success with it on the top lane. We saw Pawn and EasyHoon just tear through it in the mid lane. Did Bjergsen play it? I think he only played Ziggs and Cho'Gath. It's done phenomenal. The big thing about it is its objective control. So obviously when Cassiopeia has blue buff, the fact that she applies her poison, that it resets the cooldown on her E, that she could just spam her E like crazy, or like a little machine gun, a little turret, you could just burn through Barons, burn through Dragons very quickly. We saw last game, the big kind of hinge on which Misfits turned that game is they got that sneaky Baron by going over the back of the wall and then using Jinx at maximum range over the side to hit the Baron. So much easier with Cassiopeia. She has that blue buff. She can walk through it. She can shred that objective down. So watch for that. On the other side, though, I'm actually really surprised that they didn't take Azir into this composition. Instead, they're deciding to go with Orianna just because Azir would work so well in creating space and creating time for Jinx to continuously put out her sustained damage. Now, the thing that I really want to point out is the cleanse. So obviously in most matchups against Cassiopeia, you take cleanse. Now, what people would think of why you're taking the cleanse is, oh, it's the petrifying gaze, it's the big stun, the big Medusa maneuver that Cassiopeia throws out there that you want to cleanse that. No. It's to cleanse the poison, because if you cleanse the poison, it's the difference between a 0.5 second cooldown rotation on her E, her big damage healer, versus a 5 second rotation on that.
And it seems like a really big opportunity to outplay your opponent if you can cleanse the poison mid-flight for the Twin Fang because it waits till it hits before it takes into account whether or not the
Hmm.
opponent's poison. So we'll have to see if Golden Glue can execute this here. I agree. It's odd to not see him pick up the Azir, and kind of just a big change of pace for this Frank Fang gaming lineup, and I'm a little skeptical. But to be fair, I was skeptical of the Misfits lineup in the last game, and it worked out well for the Misfits. I shouldn't doubt too much on Cloud9, or not Cloud9, Frank Fang here. Uh, but it's definitely a lot of different picks and a completely different kind of team fight style here.
Yep. So I
All
was
right.
looking at no, I was like, man, nah. Sorry.
All right, guys, we're going to head into game 3 in just a moment. Of course, got a little bit of a spectator delay to get through as we have to stop laughing at literally every
Did you miss me, Sifa?
so much. So lovely. Just the general lack of professionalism is what keeps me sane in these long
It keeps
nights.
it fresh. We're in the finals. It's the AlphaDraft tournament. I don't do the closeouts. I'll throw it back to
Yeah.
you.
All right. Game 3 out of 5. At least one more after this one. We'll have to see who can come out on top. Hopefully go into a game 5. We'll be back in just a few. Thanks to everyone who has stayed up this long to watch. I know this is a series you were all excited about. Stick it out, guys. It's going to be worth it. We'll be back in a few.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Ryan, Prosker, and more. And of course, it's 1-1 in the series so far. This is game 3, Golden Glue. Alex each facing each other down the mid lane for a little bit early harass. But starting in lineup for the Misfits this game, RF in the top lane on that Maokai. Alberto, repeat performance on Sejuani in the jungle. Alex each with his Cassiopeia mid. Stixay and Ramelia in the bot lane. Nami and Lucian respectively.
On the other side for Frank Fang Gaming, it's going to be Brandon for the win, taking Lulu to the top lane. 14A taking Gragas into that jungle. Golden Glue has Orianna this time around, and Latman and Baby will be taking Jinx and Thresh into that bot lane. And so far, we've already had a lot of action, particularly in that mid lane where Alex is 0 for 3 on his poisons.
I mean, not completely. Oh no, she gained stacks per second. All right, I'm calming down. I was like, I thought he hit something, but that's unfortunate too because little exchanges like that in the early game get you closer to that 100 stack point on the Cassiopeia aspect of the Serpent passive, and that's pretty important. Don't think it'll be too much of an issue, but a minor thing to look at for sure here. Early warding, mostly defensive on both sides. It looks like we are going to see a standard 2v2. Now, who comes out on top in this 2v2 matchup?
I'm going to give it to Lucian. Stixie, of course. Now, Nami Lucian were really big, what, 2 years ago? No, maybe less, probably a year ago, in the LCK when they brought out the Nami-Lucian combo because Lucian's able to proc Nami's E, all 3 of those procs just because of how his passive works. So he gets the most out of the extra E damage that Nami's going to provide as well as the added sustain. That said, if Baby gets a good flay level 1, if he gets a nice death sentence, anything can really happen, but typically I would say Lucian. He's much more known for his lane power and his lane phase than Jinx.
Wow, Siege pulling out Golden Glue so quickly. The fast level 2 burns through his entire mana pool to secure that advantage, though, but a massive spike of damage. Golden Glue instantly having to burn through those pots, and you can see why you take Cleanse now. That was just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, just imagine if that's doing ridiculous amounts of damage every single tick as well, but Alex really turning it on, stepping forward.
Yeah, and there's a lot of discrepancy in these lane matchups already. Lulu bullying out this Maokai. Alex each bullying out Golden Glue, at least for a moment. Already a 5 CS lead difference between them. We're only 3 minutes in, too. And the way he was pushing towards the Orianna, this is a tough lane for Golden Glue. Clearly not used to switching back to this champion. And 15-5, the difference between Stixie and Latin. And this is massive differences in each and every lane.
More importantly, RF Legendary did have to burn his teleport after Brandon for the one step forward and got a very successful trade on him. So Crumbzz did just back in between his initial clear. Sejuani got very low during it, but there is a TP disadvantage to Misfits.
Brandon for the win. Making the most out of his auto attacks. Already starting to poke down RF here, not trying to use too many spells. Doesn't want to trigger that sap magic passive. Baby looking aggressive here. 14A on the way in. Remelia could be in trouble. The body slam going to land at the hook for follow-up. And first blood once again. This time going over to Baby on that bot lane. Not the best target, but still happy to have that early advantage.
And all night, Baby has denied this Thresh pick from Remelia, and we see to great success right there. Flashes forward, gets the play, immediately chain CCs into a beautiful body slam, but more importantly, the fact that he went for the play first and saved the death sentence because he knew that the flash was coming. So great gank from 14A, but amazing execution from Baby.
Once again, 14A set off on the right path, gets a successful early gank, means he's going to be that much stronger in the jungle, and we've seen how important he can be in the early to mid game for getting these lanes ahead, for securing some of these weaker matchups, like kind of this Cassio Orianna. So we'll have to see if he turns his where he turns his attention next, but definitely a solid start coming in for Frank Van Gaming.
That said, everything for pretty much the mid lane, though, quite a big CS discrepancy again built up by Alex. Close to 10 CS here. And Crumbzz is sitting in the wing, so we'll see if that snowballs into something more, possibly.
Okay, now the big itemization coming out. Not a whole ton of itemization yet, of course, so early in the game, but Avarice Blade picked up by Jinx. Of course, it's still the first 5 minutes. Oh, but a gank going down. Golden Glue could be in trouble flashing out of that one. Has Cleanse if he needs it. Nope, gonna use that one to stop the poison. Any further follow-up, so both summoners burn in the mid lane. Let's talk Avarice Blade. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, obviously, Jinx isn't having the best time in the lane phase, although they did just get that initial early gank off. But hold on, though, because RF in the top lane.
Gonna find an opportunity to pursue that one too much further. Burn through every major cooldown, but Brainer for the win is gonna have to be careful. A much larger mana pool on the side of RF, and pots are ticking away. Of course, Lulu, a few biscuits of her own, gonna be able to get at least something back. Going through in the mid lane as well, and triple Twin Fang just does so much damage already, and only a level 5 Cassio.
Back to this Avarice Blade, though. I mean, obviously, because Latman's having more of a slow-paced lane phase, having the Avarice Blade, I call it the bank build. Obviously, he's stalling a bit of his power spike. Although, again, hold on, top lane. It's top lane.
Berto finding 14A coming in with a counter gank, though. Gonna get the barrel out. Berto could be in trouble. RF could be in trouble, but they're splitting their damage. Alberto is gonna go down. A beautiful counter gank from 14A, and amazing plays. He picks up that one. RF didn't see that one coming. The flash coming out. And beautiful. Frank Van Gaming in the early game have been not consistent and just killing everything.
And this has kind of been the big difference between these two teams, is that Crumbzz has been playing a much slower pace early game, like you said, that herbivore style. In 14A, he's this really aggressive jungler known for his Nidalee, but now showing up on this Gragas and making things happen. Cloud9 Tempest, like you said, when you talk to them, it's against Misfits, you need to get the early game going because there does appear to be a very clear weakness.
Definitely, and it's working out well for them so far. 14A, just so dominant now, 100% kill participation. Kind of as expected from him at this point, and we'll have to see if he can keep this going. Alberto, of course, now very much on the back foot. He has to resign himself to picking up an early Sightstone. We'll have to see. Gragas almost finished with the Cinder Hole. We're only 7 minutes in.
Big lead right there. That said, Misfits have always just been about farming their lanes and then farming the enemy team when it comes to mid-game, late game, just because they get so far ahead individually with their CS.
It's definitely something to look at. Of course, there's a small CS difference in the mid lane, but that's not the big deal.
There's a huge CS difference in the top lane.
Yeah, of course, Lulu, just such an impressive bully, and I feel like that just fits into her nature as a champion. You expect her to get this lead early on.
Because she's ranged, she plays very much like an AD carry in a lane, but hold on, Stixie may be in some trouble. Nope, burns the Relentless Pursuit, will be okay right there. Because she does have that range, like you said, that bully lane phase, then she's going to transition her early game power, that bully potential, into mid-game utility with her Wild Growth, her Whimsy, and her Shield. Help picks, excuse me.
Yeah, Help picks, of course, such a powerful ability in those small trades, and looking at this mid lane, it's pretty close. Closer than it has been in the past, but it feels like there's a big difference in the way that Cassio scales as a champion. And Stixay gonna tank the hook, though. They could be the follow-up. Relentless Pursuit. Saved him. Got so hyped. Thought the Crown was gonna land, but it looks like they're gonna back out to safety. Aspect of the Serpent and Tear of the Goddess, the build for Alex Each, and it still looks like he's trading better than Golden Blue at this point in the game.
It's an interesting matchup in terms of scaling when you talk about Orianna and you talk about Cassiopeia. Obviously, Cassie is going to get raw power potential from scaling because of her stacks, not just in her itemization through tier, but likewise in her passive. With Orianna, she's still like a fine wine where she will scale into late game, but it's more item dependent in that she needs kind of a core item of three different types of items, like mini AD carries. She finds a decent mid-game power spike, so there will be a little bit of a power trough for Cassio upcoming there. So we'll see if Golden Glue is able to make that connect with some pretty impressive shockwaves.
Like a fine wine. I don't know if that's as applicable as you thought it was, but I like it either way. Alex Each still trading confidently. Of course, the CS lead in the top lane only continuing to grow. Lulu finding herself about 20 CS up, and the numbers continuing to get bigger. This is the only time, fun fact, I think Golden Glue has been even with Alex Each, but of course the Cassio scaling, not wine-like, but absolutely lethal in that mid to late game.
Poison wine?
Poison wine. Man, that's a stretch. Like, I like you're going for it. We're trying to keep the wine thing going, but that's...
It's interesting too, because when you brought it up, I started to think about it. Because obviously both of them scale fantastic into...
That's fine. It's coming out. Gonna use that shockwave to make that not happen. No poison in that wine yet.
Huh. A little bit overzealous right there. Was looking for the Petrifying Gaze. Of course, didn't connect with the front of Orianna, so didn't find the stun right there. Just the slow. And more importantly, Golden Glue didn't even need to burn his flash or his cleanse, just trading ult for ult.
I'm wondering how long this wine thing's gonna stick around before we drop it, but
a tasting, if you will. No, they're just very different about how they scale into the late game and all of the things that they're going to offer for their team. I feel like Cassiopeia is going to offer her team more objective control just through her ability to burn it, as well as just raw, ridiculous amounts of damage. Whereas Orianna is going to offer her team more utility, but it's unfair to say that Orianna can't also offer just absurd amounts of damage, because out of all of the sustain mages, it's because they're both sustain mages. So there's two different types. There's your burst mage like Annie, who's going to go in and drop like a full rotation. There's sustain mages like Azir, like Orianna, like Cassiopeia, who the longer they stay alive, because their cooldowns are so short, their kits are more designed to continuously run through their cooldowns. So.
Ooh, RF, the quick flash, gonna get him out of that one. 14A determined to find something here, and it looks like they may be able to break through this turret, or at least get a little bit of damage down here. The health bar is pretty low. RF looking a little bit more comfortable as Alberto finds himself on this side of the map. Not going to be able to get any engages here, though. Just going to kind of pressure off and make sure that this turret does not go down. In the bot lane, even farm, but the Avarice Blade guaranteeing Jinx at least a small advantage. at this point, actually about 400 gold, of course, taking into account the assist as well.
We're at this point, though, now that Golden Glue has a completed item in our Morellos, that he's actually stronger than Alex right now. I mean, obviously, if Alex finds a good chain on his twin fangs, he will put out absurd amounts of damage, but sitting on kind of the ingredients, the tier, the blasting wand, as well as the cloak, the power has shifted back to Orianna, and we'll see if Fang Gaming do anything with this power spike, maybe trend towards a dragon or look for a gank mid.
And the big thing we need to consider here as we watch Alex, he's trying to go in here and trading back and forth Golden Glue. Both ultimates going to be burned out there. Alberto trying to find his way back in. Glacial Prison could get used. 14A available as well. These junglers matching each other's movements perfectly. 14A has to be careful about this fight. His going in there. Baby on the way. They have the hook. The Glacial Prison going down. The rocket coming across the backside. The hook not going to land. The difference I was going to talk about. Cleanse for Cassio in the laning phase doesn't do anything. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And it's weird too that he picked it, because if you actually look across their CCs, like the enemy champions, there's not a lot of cleansable CC there. I mean, effectively, it's the death sentence is the big one. Most of the other ones are displacements, which the cleanse will have no effect on.
Yeah, which is an unfortunate circumstance for sure. But of course, when Alex Each is probably going to be the sole source of that late game damage, needs to make sure that a single death sentence doesn't take him out, so maybe just a lot of respect paid over to Baby as they've continuously had to give up that fresh pick. Have to see how the summoner choice works out for him. I feel like he could have gotten a kill by now if he had gone for something like Ignite, and surprised to not see him do it. I like the defensive summoner picks in general, but I'm not sure if it's the best choice here.
I almost think even a ghost, like a full Dade, would have been a better option for just Alex's playstyle, really.
I don't know if you want to go full Dade. Full Dade's not doing so hot in China right now. Stixay could be in trouble though. The Lantern coming in on the backside. 14A turning his attention toward Ramelia. Wants to pick on that one. Going in, the slow coming down. Chilling Smite. Looks like Latman going to grab himself a kill. 14A going to snag that one though. A little bit of miscommunication there. Trying to turn the fight out. Sees the quick cleanse. Putting that one to good use. The shockwave hasn't come out quite yet. It's already down, not even used effectively. 14A still able to find this one. Brandon for the win, doing so much damage here. Alex Each and the rest of the team could be in trouble. Polymorph coming in. No plans to stop that this time around. 14A may give his life, will get dropped, but at what cost? Stixay is next on the list, and Latman 2-0-4 now. Brandon for the win, 1-0-6, and a 13-minute ace in the favor of Fang Gaming. What a beautiful team fight.
Really just the power of Jinx and the itemization difference between the mid laners. Golden Glue had the completed item available to him, whereas Alex did not. Still has just those ingredients available, has now finally finished up his Abyssal Scepter, didn't have it for the last team fight, and that's really what happens when those resets start coming down and you have a split fight like that.
It's not really a mistake they can afford to make. Alex Each getting collapsed on, putting himself in an unfortunate circumstance, and Tower's just not doing enough damage to dissuade that. The two squishiest members of the team left standing and not able to resist, or not able to survive as they got descended upon, and this is bad news for the Misfits.
Well, the good news is that they didn't technically lose any sort of objective. So yes, it was an ace, but all it really equated to was kill gold as well as experience. It didn't transition into a tower, into a dragon, or into any structural objective.
Well, I think that's a pretty solid argument here. You got to remember, Golden Glue now level 11, Alex Each only level 10, and the difference between level 1 and level 2 Shockwave is pretty massive. Additionally, a 4K gold lead is nothing to ignore here, as they're now going to pick up the Dragon as well and further extend that advantage with that AP and AD buff. Fang Gaming looking pretty well in control, and Misfits definitely still in this one as well, though, as Alex Each is just going to continue to scale.
Well, again, Misfits have kind of put themselves in a hole because they failed to make early game plays, fell behind, and so now they're relying on their ability to hyperscale.
Oh, Brandon for the win, getting caught up with that one. Did not expect Alberto over the wall. Alex Each on the way in. The wave coming up as follow-up. Every piece of CC being burned. Golden Glue turning that one around, but they're still going to drop it. Three-man Shockwave, not enough to stop that fight from going down, but a tower will go down on the bot side as well. Jinx ripping through that tower, left unattended, the one thing you can never do. And they may lose a second one as well, as Golden Glue and 14A now pushing for the mid lane as well. So much action here from Fang Gaming.
There was an immediate response. They did technically trade tower for tower, but like you said, the fact that Jinx is still left unattended right there. takes another tower and gets a lantern out for free. So definitely a fair trade for Frank Fang Gaming there. Perfectly fine walking away with that one.
And their 4K gold lead maintained. 14A trying to find another engage, though. Going in. Golden Glue going to snag that one. Rocket on the backside. Thinks they have wanted something. Petrifying Gaze going to be used. 14A will go down shortly. No damage on the backside. Latman trying to find something. 14A going to make it out. It looks like nothing getting dropped here. Ramelia's life, though, traded back for nothing. 14A simply backing out. They want to continue the fight, though. Arm Legendary, a quick dodge with that twisted advance. Make sure they don't find anything. I don't think Blotman's going in for that one, but you can tell he wants it. Kind of wishing he had saved that rocket now.
So much damage, though, especially with RF Legendary being pushed off. This should be another free tower for Frank Fang Gaming. Unfortunately, Alex cannot contest on his own, and this is kind of the other thing that Cassiopeia doesn't necessarily have available in her kit. She can clear waves, but it's not as safe as an Orianna or a Xerath or an Azir kind of sitting on the wave and pressing their Q into it.
She just doesn't quite have the same range, and of course the Miasma, her safest wave clear skill is just not as much damage. Just cannot match the same thing as the Arcano Bolster and the other skills, and Zera's kids, or the Bouncing Bomb from Zig even, it just isn't comparable. But Misfits still will find something back. The gold lead's starting to grow against them though, 5K, almost 6K now for that swift turn of events, and they gotta be careful here. Golden Glue's damage starting to get a little ridiculous. You said that once Golden Glue finished that item, he would be ahead. He's almost finished 2 now, and Alex Each forced into a less than ideal build path with this early Abyssal. I don't even know if he's ever going to be close to that Orianna use the passive. That's like purely a defensive item.
And this is what we were talking about as far as Cassiopeia when she's going to find her power spike, the fact that she's really reliant on her passive stack as well as her item stack. So late game, absurd amounts of damage. This mid game, we're definitely in a power trough. And Orianna, it's not that she has, she's not known for her mid game power spike, although Bjergsen has been quoted on his mic check saying that, just wait for the mid game Orianna power spike. And this is effectively it, and this is really what Frank Fang Gaming are steamrolling on.
Definitely working out pretty well for them so far. We'll have to see what they try to follow up with. Jinx once again pushing down on the bottom side. Baron spawning. Minute 25 seconds, but at only 20 minutes, neither team really has the tools to take this. We've seen Misfits go for some pretty aggressive stuff here. Can't count it out as they snuck that one last game. Not on the red side this time, though, so may have to find another clever approach if they want to sneak a Baron.
Walking into the pit.
The clever approach.
We're also at the point of the game where Brandon for the win is going to start to lose a lot of his damage. The fact that he, currently right now went for a CDR flat AP Lulu. We'll see if that trend continues, but by going the flat AP as opposed to penetration, although hold on, Alberto looking frisky.
Ooh, missing out on that one. The wave will find Brandon for the win and no one else. Are they going to keep trying to follow this? I'm wondering if that's the right choice. Maokai on the backside, RF Legendary finds them. Bubble going to land on 14A, but I don't know if it's enough. Rocket on the backside, Cass coming out as well. Alberto flashing over the wall. That man flashing for the follow-up. Baby could be caught out, not going to find the hook. Man walking through the Miasma, putting himself in a tough spot, but they're going to get 1-for-nothing, and so many ults burned. They're just backing off on this one, not wanting to push their luck here on the side of Frank Fang Gaming. A little bit of a fumble from Misfits, doesn't turn too hard against them.
Dragon spawning in 130, surely they want to heal up and prep for that. What I was going to talk about was we'll see what Brennan for the Win's build will show, but right now looking like it's more of a flat AP Lulu, and how this really works for her. Faker showed a penetration on-hit effect. Not an on-hit effect, but yeah, the Lich Bane. But more of a damage-oriented Lulu, because obviously it fits into the MO of Faker that I'm going to kill you even if I'm on this utility champion. Typically, though, you go flat AP because it's going to grant you more bonus health to your wild growth, as well as more, a larger shield to your help picks.
And I think this is a good choice for them overall. Latman has kind of proven throughout this game that he can be the carry in these teamfights if he needs to be. And I like the flexibility of this composition with the Lulu top, with the Orianna mid. Just because you can do the protect the Jinx if you want to, but you also have decent engage options. If Gragas can find a body slam into multiple people, you follow it up with the Shockwave, and it feels like a solid, flexible team comp, but it's going to come down to Frank Fang Gaming picking the right way to utilize it. Misfits, though, much more simple. They want to chain these ults. They want Alex Each to run uninhibited, and Baby could be in trouble as he may go down here. Twin Fang coming out. He's going to have to burn that flash. Alex on the hunt along with the rest of the Misfits. Not going to find anything there. Getting the Thresh Flash, though, could affect the next team fight in a great way.
The next team fight surely will be over this dragon as 4 seconds. It is up and available. I don't really feel that Misfits are in a proper situation to contest this one, especially as Stixie is starting his back. It is only the second dragon, so not life or death.
The dragon is available, but Petrifying Gaze is not, and that is such an important ultimate. We see Fang Gaming picking that one up uncontested. Good on Misfits. We know them to be patient players overall, and good on them to just give up objectives when they have to, instead of risking their lives for something potentially foolish. Of course, now a 6K gold lead for Fang Gaming. And yesterday against Cloud9 Tempest, when they found a way to get a lead in the early game, they always snowballed it out to a win. Now Misfits, we've praised them for superior strategy in a lot of cases, and I'm wondering if they can be the first team to kind of turn that status quo around. We may see engage here. Looks like they're going to try to go in onto 14A. 14A could be caught out. Looks like they might just send him out. James trying to find some damage, but they have to be careful. Out. Siege could be in trouble. The shockwave coming in. They didn't kill the dragons fast enough, and that will go down. Latman pushing as quickly as he can. Stixie, Remelia on the run, and now grabbing this one. Prospect swear you'll get a talk eventually, but not before Alberto could go down here as well. Jinx moving in, grabbing the triple kill. That's a fast one for Latman. Fang Gaming, 9K gold lead. The ace, the Baron if they want it. The world is their oyster in the game 3.
I want to quickly talk about my favorite itemization on Jinx, and it's with the static shift. So for a while there, Doublelift came out and he said, you know, the Phantom Dancer is technically the one that's going to do the most damage. It's what he liked to build the Jinx on. A lot of people still trend towards the static shift, and the reason why I love it is because